Welcome back to this week of MTG Militia Madness. I'm here with my TMNT MTG commander. We got Venus, Torn Between Worlds. It was pretty much the only commander we didn't pull from the set, so I have a proxy here because it was just too awkward to order. You'll see a couple other proxies this week. It should end up being fine. Don't worry about it.
There was the one in my deck tag, but it's fine.
Yeah. And then, so what Venus does here is, it's a 5-mana 5/5, which whenever it is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on her. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals damage to a player, you may pay a blue. If you do, draw a card. So I'm going for a almost mono green +1/+1 counter deck that has a little bit of blue so that I can get card draw in the mid to late game. And then with a focus here on some fight spells too to make sure that Venus can get bigger by punching into stuff.
Worth noting, it does need to survive. So if you block a 5/5 with it, it won't get any counters because it'll be dead.
Yep, because that's how triggers work.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to start with here is some of the +1/+1 counter synergy, which what we got here is all these guys that give creatures with +1/+1 counters trample. Yeah. So we got Timberman Oozwag, 4 mana, just modified creatures have trample, so that also includes enchanted things and things with +1/+1 counter, things with artifacts on them. So that could be relevant, because I have an enchantment in the deck. Then we got Drix Fatemaker. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter has trample. Notably, not just a 4 mana 3/2, it also has 2 mana warp. So I can just warp it in, have it down for a turn, put a +1/+1 counter on something, temporarily give my board trample. So nice flexibility there.
And then cast it later and then do the same thing.
Yep. So it can be 2 +1/+1 counters from its own ability. Then we got Gnarled Colony here, a 2 mana 2/2, so a bear. If it's kicked, comes in with 2 +1/+1 counters. It has kicker of 2 and a green. And then it gives all creatures with +1/+1 counters trample. Then Duskshell Crawler, a 2 mana 0/3, which puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature. And then all creatures with +1/+1 counters get trample. So this can be nicely a 1/4 block up nicely, or it can make something else a little bigger and start its own trample journey.
Yep.
Okay. Then I got
not to interrupt, a quick note here. If you wanted to see our very inner processes of what's in this deck and what's not in this deck, it's on a podcast. Go check that out.
Okay, and then we got what are like my value creatures that just make +1/+1 counters at a bunch of different mana costs. So we got my 1-drops. Stampeding Scurryfoot comes in as a 1/1, can be made into a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it later for 4 mana, and also creating an elephant. So very nice that way. Then I got Iron Apprentice, just a 1/1 that it's a 0/0 initially, but it comes with a +1/+1 counter. And then when it dies, shift all of its +1/+1 counters to something else. You'll notice that I avoided some of these same effects that only shift like one counter or like a 1/1 that doesn't have a counter on it initially that only shifts a single counter as well. So I went for specifically this because here's the exact same card but green.
Yep.
Cool. Literally the exact same card.
Probably going to put them up in the same slide.
Yeah. And then we got Young Wolf, which is a 1/1. When it dies, comes back as a 1/1 with a +1/+1 counter on it. So just very nice, like solid body there, and easy way to get a +1/+1 counter on a 1 mana card. And then Experiment 1. Card's amazing. Has evolved, so it'll get +1/+1 counters for anything bigger in any way is played. And then I can remove 2 counters, regenerate it.
One of the better aggressive green cards in our format, I think.
Oh yeah, card's amazing. I think
criminally underplayed in aggressive green decks on the channel so far.
Yeah, like the awkward thing about that is like the most aggressive green decks we had so far have also like wanted to like ramp a little bit to skip up to 3, and that Experiment 1 doesn't quite fit into those kinds of strategies.
That's true.
And then I got my 2-drops that are not the +1/+1 counter like trample dudes. So I got Shamble Shark, which is 2/1 Flash Evolve, so still trying to scale up and get bigger like Experiment 1, but can nicely come in and play on my opponent's turn to be a little tricky. And then we got Knoll Hunter. It is a 2/2 that says Pack Tactics, which is if it attacks, if you have attacked with a total power of 6 or greater this combat, it gets another +1/+1 counter. So we'll start scaling up as it attacks in. Also, I just thought this like foil looks really good, surprisingly.
Yeah, I love the D&D like monster manual art. It's just so good.
Yeah, and then we got Basking Brood Scale, which is just a nice card that'll help me go wide as +1/+1 counters come out, and can also very easily like be okay. I'll adapt it so it has 1/+1 counter on it, which is effectively only costs 1 green mana because this spawn pays for itself.
Yep, and then you have a proliferate target, right?
Yep, Baruni, and that'll make more counters whenever I proliferate, which is cool.
Yep.
Which I don't have an insane amount of ways to proliferate because this deck is more focused on going stompy than it is on like. Oh yeah, 1,000,001 +1/+1 counters. But yeah. Then we got my 3-drops, which we got Aeromunculus, 3 mana 2/3 flyer. For 4 mana can adapt it so it can start getting like proliferated and doing any +1/+1 counter thing, which is nice. Then we got Champion of Dasan. Does not have +1/+1 counters on its own thing, but when it dies, you can pay 2 mana, exile it from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter and a trample counter on something.
Yep.
Which is very good.
Then ye old Evolution Witness, which is just like good.
It gets stuff back from my graveyard, which is very good value. And it goes infinite with Bannerhead Crew Shock. Whee!
Yes.
Kinda. But yeah, that's always cool. Bannerhead Crew Shock is doing its own.
Also just a good card, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's a good way to get +1/+1 counters around my board nicely, and then just do. Why'd you pull the table?
no, my bad.
It's all good. I'm just gonna pull it back for framing purposes. Sorry about that, but reinforce to put 2 +1/+1 counters on something, and scavenge put 4 +1/+1 counters on something. So it's just a good way to get a lot of +1/+1 counters down on the board.
And be a 4/4 with trample.
Yeah.
Underutilized mode.
And then Hazard of the Dunes, 4 mana 4/4 trample reach, so just fairly good stats, fairly good body. And then late game I can put 3 +1/+1 counters on it for 7 mana. So just a way to end games and just a good like place to put counters.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got this value card that just happens to say +1/+1 counters on it.
Yeah. this insanely good card.
Yeah, Nyxborn Hydra. It is a X1 or X and a green for 0/1. Reach trample comes into play with X +1/+1 counters on it, but also has this bestow for an extra green compared to its normal cost, where you can put it on something, and they get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on this guy.
And then when they die,
Pops into play real big.
yeah, and then you get another big.
And notably, it gives stuff reach and trample.
Yeah, which is not nothing.
Yeah, it's very good. A very good way to help go over the top. Then I got my Proliferators, which have got Pollen Bright Druid on 2 mana, proliferate, or put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, so it could just be a bear if you need it, and then get proliferated itself. Got Contagious Vorak, which can look for a land, and then if you don't take a land, it proliferates out. Otherwise, it's just like the same equivalent stat type as Bloom Hulk, where it's 3 mana for a 3/3. Then we got Bloom Hulk, enters battlefield, proliferate. We got Bloom Hulk 2, Twisted Spider Clone. The only difference is this can proliferate non-+1/+1 counters, while Twisted Spider Clone can only proliferate +1/+1 counters. Mm-hmm. Which, I think the only other type of counter in this is a trample counter, and that doesn't do anything if you proliferate it.
You trample. It doesn't.
Like, if you could move it, it could do something, but that's not how this works.
You can do that.
Then, lastly, in the creature pile, we got Eldrazi Repurposer, Sagu Wildling, Jewel Thief, and Generosant. These are just value creatures that made their way in because they are good on the curve and are nice to like just throw down at a good time. Mm-hmm. So these will get Jewel Thief and Eldrazi Repurposer will give me a little bit of extra mana by creating a treasure or a spawn. Sagu Wildling can help me get basics early when I need them, and then comes down as a flyer later that can also gain me some life. Generous Int blocks the board real nicely and also gains some life with the food token. Yep. In addition to just being forest cycling to help find my blue sources actually, which it's like, oh, forest cycling, that doesn't find islands, but I got the dual land. Mm-hmm. And then it's much better to play than Lorien Revealed because I don't want to have a double blue card in my deck generally with how this is built. Then we got a little bit of protection for my commander and any of the other like cool little threats I got.
And ways to put +1/+1 counters on stuff.
That's what I was going to say. That these I specifically chose the protection spells that gave +1/+1 counters. So Snakes and Veil, Hexproof, +1/+1 counter, very nice. Gaia's Gift, +1/+1 counter, Hexproof, Indestructible, Reach, and Trample, so another way to trample over the top. So it has that good modality there. Mm-hmm. Then we got all my Fight Punch spells stuff. Ram Through is Punch, not Fight, so it'll just deal the damage, but if the creature had Trample, any damage in the punch that goes over will also trample through. Hit them right in the face. We got Smell Fear, it's a fight that proliferates for 2 mana, sorcery speed. Then we got 2 mana Titanic Brawl, but if you're targeting a creature with a +1/+1 counter, you only got to pay 1. And then it's instant speed, so that's a little nicer. We got Duel for Dominance. It has Coven, so if I have 3 creatures with different power, it'll put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then it always fights no matter what.
Yeah.
Then we got Bushwhack, sorcery speed again, but 1 mana, which is just better Prey Upon because it also has the alternate mode of finding a basic land if I'm a little stuck. Mm-hmm. And then Int's Fury, another one of the sorcery.
This card's rad.
It puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature, and then if that creature's power is 4 or greater, that creature gets another +1/+1 until end of turn, and fights target creature you don't control. Mm-hmm. So it does have to be big enough to get the fight, period, but still pretty nice that it's like a way to put counters on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it's that big, put a plus or an additional +1/+1 counter and fight, so it's a part of the same sentence, I believe.
No, the +1/+1 counter is the conditional part.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It'll always fight. It'll always get +1/+1 and fight.
Yep. I just read that sentence wrong because I'm at it, but that's fine.
Magic cards are hard to read
Good
sometimes.
stuff. But yeah. Then we got my card draw. We got Malevolent Rumble, Digs deep, refunds the mana, good stuff. Winding Way, can draw multiple of either lands or creatures if I need it. I don't really care if I throw some junk in the graveyard as I go. You meet in a tavern and lead the Stampede. These are both the same card, just one costs one more. But this also has the alternate of all my creatures get +2/+2.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, a little bit of an odd one out card, Rancor. It's Rancor. Gets big, gets trample, comes back, does its thing.
Good and aggressive deck.
Yeah.
You are. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm punching, I'm doing that stuff. And then we got my lands. So we got one we haven't seen on the channel yet, but it's one of the only cards that references Commander that's not banned in the format, which is Forge of Heroes. It's a tap for a colorless, and then could also tap, choose target commander that entered the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, yeah. It also says something about Planeswalkers, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Then we got Ash Barrens, just a colorless land that I can land cycle, because I'm basically monocolor, so it's just another easy way to get my
That
blue if I
island or
need to.
whatever.
Or just come down if I need the curve to have a just colorless source on the turn I need it.
Yep.
Got Colony Garden, comes in tapped, makes a sapling, right? Or a plant token, sorry, not a sapling.
Oh, yeah.
But,
well.
yeah. Then we got Gingerbread Cabin, comes in, makes a food. Can be untapped if I have enough forests out. Very nice, very good utility. Tangled Islet, searchable off of island and forest cyclers. So good on that one.
Allows your generous set to put blue into play.
Yep, then we got Lakeside Shack, which comes into play untapped if my opponent has 13 or less life. Well, actually, sorry, either player has 13 or less life. If I'm getting my ass kicked, it can also come in untapped.
Yes.
Then we got Simic Growth Chamber, just a nice way to, like, get an extra land drop if I'm running out of land drops in hand, and also just a way to get my blue.
Yeah. I think the green-blue lands are very, very flexible, right? Like, if you wanted to play, I don't know, a town and Prosh Wonderings, you could do that, or... really, the only one that you probably have to play is the Tangled Islet, right?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. And also, like, you don't have to play towns to play the Wanderings. Like, it can search for a basic.
That's true.
But, yeah, because I don't remember if it comes in if it's natural state or if it always comes in tapped, but anyway.
Yeah.
Then Island. It's an island. It's searchable. That's why it's here. Then we got 3, 7, 11 forests. They make green.
You need green.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Oh, man. Then we can move on to the sideboard.
It should also be noted that, like, Morgan chose to not play a lot of blue cards. I think you could, like, it again, it's a template, right? We're not saying this is the 100% right way to build it.
Yeah, it's just, like, as deck building with, like, the kind of bits of the theme I wanted, I realized, like, blue wasn't supporting it too much. I was like, okay, blue will be here mainly for Venus's ability and not much else.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of, like, the way that, the vision I had went with it. Then we have my sideboard. We got Entourage of Trust as Fleet Admiral. Because I'm a deck that can do pretty well with the Monarch, but I didn't think it was going to be good to start with it.
Yep.
And then we got Hydroblast, Blue Elite Blast to stop a bunch of red stuff if that comes into play. Got Unable Scream and Lignify, which can help deal with just annoying commanders, etc. Just keep them stuck on the side of the board. Notably, I am going to be attacking in, so they don't last as long. But if we get into like weird stalls with stuff like that, it's like I can make sure that they're not just incrementally getting value with their commander while a stall is happening.
Yeah.
Then we got Scattershot Archer, can take out stuff like fairies or like Murmuring Mystic tokens very nicely. Then we got my anti-aggro, which Weather the Storm, Nihilia's Disciple, just ways to gain a bunch of life that hopefully if like you're focused on just killing me in the face, will be just good enough. Then we got Relic and Heritage Reclamation as my anti-graveyard a bit, with Heritage Reclamation also being on the Artifact and Enchantment. With additional support from Masked Vandal and Deglamour, which just both take out artifacts and enchantments. Then we got Sprout Swarm and Shinnin of Life's Roar. These are for very different things. Sprout Swarm here, if I'm playing in like hard control, I can just like slowly make a board, make a board, make a board, make a board, do that kind of stuff. Or like just force them to counter it. So not too bad there. And then Shinnin of Life's Roar is actually an interesting kind of thing where it's like, okay, I can channel this. It's an uncounterable effect. All my creatures have to be blocked, or all of your creatures have to block one of my creatures. So all the rest of my creatures get through and just kill you.
Yeah, helps with board stalls a lot.
Yep. Good into like creature versus creature matchups and such.
Yep.
And that's it for the sideboard.
The Morgan staple Deglamour.
Yeah, it's just a good sideboard card. Because it means that you don't like destruction abilities and such.
Yeah,
like
with
that.
green, you lose like some percentage point. But like green has like 1,628 ways of doing that. It's, it's personal preference.
Okay, and that's it for the video today. We will see you in the gameplay later this week. Make sure you do all the good stuff. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Join the Discord. Yeah!